Hi there lovelies, I'm Rhonda Crimes. I'm a life and leadership coach supporting everyday people just like you to reflect and rework your everyday stories so you can step into the everyday leadership of your families and communities and create compelling, meaningful and fruitful lives every day. This is the next meaty chunk from Brené Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. I've been breaking the book down into bite-sized pieces with shorter videos that you can watch or listen to on the fly instead of having to find extra time. I will always suggest though that you read the book, but today let's talk about the gifts of imperfection, the things that get in the way. Brené tells the story of a presentation she was asked to give to a group of women over a lunch at a country club. Her name was suggested to the organiser, who, it turned out, knew nothing about Brené's work in researching shame, fear and vulnerability. They were a complete mismatch, and in her discomfort, Brené tried to give the organiser what she wanted. A talk about how to be joyful without talking about the uncomfortable stuff, and definitely no mention of the word shame. These women were eating, for goodness sake. It was a complete disaster for Brené. She felt anxious, belittled and shamed. And no, that irony was not lost on her, the shame researcher. But from that, she says, I finally got it. My work, me, the decade I've spent doing research. It's all about the things that get in the way. I'm not about how to. Because in 10 years, I've never seen any evidence of how to working without talking about the things that get in the way. This, lovelies, just this. I come across similar scenarios when I'm talking with people about their problems or what they consider is holding them back. They generally just want to know how to fix it, like with a magic wand or a simple 3-step approach, but not if it's going to be uncomfortable. As Brené so eloquently puts it, we don't want to be uncomfortable. We want a quick and dirty how-to list for happiness. The fact is, though, that for us to grow, for us to live meaningful and fulfilling, happy lives, shit is going to happen, and we have to move through it. The happiness list might say, breathe deeply every morning, clear your mind, and meditate for an hour. But if you can't have a conversation with your teenager without a tantrum from either of you, neither of you are going to be happy, no matter how many times you meditate. What is really interesting about Brené recognising that she doesn't do how to is that it took sharing her story of her train wreck presentation with her husband that up until then had been her shame secret. By sharing her story with someone she trusted, she claimed it. She said, I see that my understanding of the darkness gives my search for the light context and meaning. Another great point she makes is that more often than not, we already know the how-to. We know that to have money, we need to spend less than we earn. To be healthy, we need to eat healthy food and move our bodies. We know we need sleep and water and fresh air and to limit our screen time. And there are a gazillion how-to books, videos and information telling us how to do all of that. But we don't. We don't talk about what keeps us eating until we're sick, busy beyond human scale, desperate to numb and take the edge off, and full of so much anxiety and self-doubt that we can't act on what we know is best for us. Sure, on a good day, we can generally manage or cope. But what about on day 26 of lockdown and the internet is glitching as you try and deliver your proposal to the team? Or what about when your parent is diagnosed with an illness and you know that you'll need to be the one to take them to a score of medical appointments? Or what about when your partner has just called to say, we're going to have people over for dinner tonight, and you know that the house is a mess and the fridge is empty? What do you do then? Let's think. Well, we start thinking about how we need to be doing better. Of course the internet is your fault. You should have tested the timing and made sure, I don't know, of something. Of course you want to help your parent. But how the hell are you going to fit it all in? Oh, and now you're a bad daughter for even thinking that. You know that there's no way you can tell your friends not to come over. That would be just so embarrassing for your partner. And you couldn't possibly let your friends down. No. You'll just have to get off work early, swing by the supermarket, call into the bottle shop, do a mad swoop around the house, and pull off a magical night for everyone else. Brené calls these the cacophony of shame tapes and gremlins. Those messages that fuel never good enough. Shame is a huge thing that gets in our way, but oftentimes we don't recognise it for what it is, why it happens, where it lives, and how it feels for us physiologically and emotionally. And then finally, how do we protect ourselves from shame to improve and develop our worthiness? The definition Brené developed from her research for shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Shame is all about fear. We are fearful if people know something about us that we know to be a failing. They won't like us or they'll judge us. On the other side, if we're too successful or even maybe just not struggling as much as they are, they'll also dump us or talk about us and how, I don't know, we might have somehow cheated to get into this position. Someone must be looking after us. We are just lucky. It feels as if shame hides in our darkest corners. It actually tends to lurk in all the familiar places, including appearance and body image, family, parenting, money and work, health, addiction, sex, aging and religion. And in light of our current times, I'd also throw in politics. So who does it affect? Everyone. To feel shame is to be human. So what does it feel like? Brené describes it as that warm feeling that washes over us, making us feel small and flawed and never good enough. How does it grow? Shame needs 3 things to grow out of control in our lives: secrecy, silence, and judgment. Shame loves perfectionists because they are really good at keeping quiet about flaws and imperfections. What can we do about it? We need to develop a resilience around it. And to do this, we need to recognize what triggers it and how it feels for us as individuals. What are the symptoms for you? Write them down as you recall a moment where you felt small or flawed. Where do you feel it first? Learn to recognize it and how it manifests for you. Brené provides us with 3 things we need to know about shame. 1, we all have it. Shame is universal and one of the most primitive human emotions that we experience. The only people who don't experience shame lack the capacity for empathy and human connection. Number 2, we are all afraid to talk about shame. And number 3, the less we talk about shame, the more control it has over our lives. So remember from my previous talks, it's really important to be selective with who you share a shame story with. So I just wanted to remind you that I created a printable A4 handout with 8 tips to help you determine someone safe to share your story with. If you'd like a copy to act as a ready reckoner to help you maybe steer clear of the wrong person, or indeed maybe help you to be the right person for someone else, click on the link 8 story sharing tips in the post. Next week, we're going to get into the first guidepost, cultivating authenticity, letting go of what people think. But as always, if your now is not the picture that you've painted for yourself, and you'd like any help on this discovery path, or maybe something completely different that you intuitively know or feel isn't letting your true colours shine through, please get in touch with me. You can do it really easily. Just leave me a comment, send me a private message, drop me an email, or pop over to my Calendly online diary using the link I've provided. And we can set up an obligation-free curiosity call and see if we're a good fit for each other. Much love until next time.